Namaste everybody. I am Govinda Puri, MPhil student, Nepal Open University, Nepal. So first of all, I would like to welcome you all in my short video presentation on critical discourse analysis, history, agenda, theory, and methodology. So this is a part of assignment assigned by my course facilitators, Professor Dr. Ramchandra Paudel, Tara Prasad Adhikari, and Prakash Paudel. It is the assignment under the critical theory and critical discourse analysis. So let me begin my presentation. So in this short video presentation, I will be covering what is CDA, the areas of CDA, the history of CDA, constitutive elements like discourse, criticality, ideology, and power, and the main agenda and challenges of critical discourse analysis, theory of critical discourse analysis, and I will conclude with some methodologies of critical discourse analysis. So what is it all about critical discourse analysis? So various theoretical and methodological approaches from sociological and epistemological perspectives, they have been integrated into the critical discourse analysis. And three central and constitutive elements there are, mainly power, ideology, and critique. And in critical discourse analysis nowadays, both critical linguistics and critical discourse analysis are combined. They are understood as critical discourse analysis. And the roots of CDA are the rhetorics, text linguistics, anthropologies, philosophy, socio-psychological, cognitive science, literary studies, and sociolinguistics, as well as applied linguistics and pragmatics. They all come together. And so I would like to talk here a little bit about the definition given by Wodak in 2006. So critical discourse analysis is fundamentally interested in analyzing opaque as well as the transparent relationship of dominance, discrimination, power, and control when these are manifested in language. Or in other words, critical discourse analysis aims to investigate critically social inequality as it is expressed, constituted, and legitimized by language use. And there are 7 common areas of critical discourse analysis. So they are, or critical discourse analysis always covers the naturally occurring language use by the real language users. And the larger units, then isolated words and sentences are the basic units of analysis. For example, text, discourses, conversation, speech acts, and communicative events. So the extensions of linguistics beyond sentence grammar towards a study of actions and interaction. So this is another common area of critical discourse analysis. So extension to non-verbal. Non-verbal means here semiotic, multimodal, visual aspects of interactions and communication. They are also covered by critical discourse analysis. Similarly, the dynamic, cognitive, interactional moves and strategies, they are also studied. Similarly, the study of functions like social function, cultural, situative, and cognitive. These all functions for functional context of language use are also analyzed here. So similarly, the last area that covers is the analysis of vast number of phenomena of text, grammar, and language use. That means the coherence, anaphora, topics, macro structures, speech acts, interaction, tone taking, signs, politeness, argumentation, rhetoric, mental models, and many other aspects of text and discourses. So this is why critical discourse analysis is said to be the multidisciplinary, the broad, high level of analysis of the text or discourse. So let's go to the history of critical discourse analysis. Critical discourse analysis that emerged as a network of scholars in the early 1990s following the symposium in Amsterdam in 1991. So with the support of University of Amsterdam, June Van Dijk, Norman Verklo, Gunther Krees, Theo van Leeuwen, and Ruth Odak, they had a special meeting to discuss on CDA. And they developed it as one of the very prominent area of study, or the networks of scholars. So critical discourse analysis as a school or paradigm is characterized by number of principles. Necessarily all approaches are problem oriented and thus necessarily interdisciplinary and eclectic. It is interdisciplinary. It will take help of all other related disciplines. So it is also characterized by the common interest in demystifying ideas and power through the systematic and reproducible investigation of semiotic data. Semiotic data means here written, spoken, and visual. All types of data are covered. So the start of the CDA work or network was marked by the launch of Van Dijk's journal, Discourse and Society, that was published in 1990. Later, the special issue of Discourse and Society was published in 1993. But now, there are so many publications related to critical discourse analysis. For example, Critical Discourse Studies, the Journal of Language and Politics, Discourse and Communication and Visual Semiotics, among many e-journals, book series, and such as Discourse Approaches to Politics, Culture, and Society, and there are so many others. So CDA studies are multifarious, derived from quite different theoretical backgrounds. They are connected over here. And the definition of the terms discourse, critical, ideology, and power, and so on, other related factors are included. So it is called manifolds. And critical discourse analysis as heterogeneous school always invites the continuous debates. So in contrast to total and closed theories like Chomsky's generative transformational grammar or Michael Halliday's systematic functional linguistics, this has never had the image of sect and does not want to have such an image as well. So it is inclusive, interdisciplinary, and broad. So it has covered some of the very component factors, like very essential factors like discourse, power, ideology, kind of things. So discourse, let me talk about first discourse. Discourse as social practice that implies a dialectical relationship between a particular discursive event and the situation, and the institution and social structures which frame it. And discourse is socially constitutive and conditioned as well. So since discourse is socially constitutive, it gives rise to important issues of power. Always it focuses on power exercise, power production and reproduction in society, and the equalities and inequalities or discrimination or domination created by the power practice. So discourse as a structured forms of knowledge and the memory of social practices, whereas text refers to concrete oral utterances or written documents. So what is critical then? Critical impetus, that means Frankfurt School, as social theories that should be oriented towards critiquing and changing society as a whole. Critical discourse analysis are critical. A critical theory always tries to change the society, tries to emancipate the people's life as a whole, in contrast to the traditional theories. So critical theories should be directed at the totality of society in its historical specificity. So critical theory should improve the understanding of society by integrating all the major social sciences, including economics, sociology, history, political science, anthropology, and psychology. So it integrates all. So researchers, scientists, philosophers are not outside the social hierarchy of power and a status. So, but they are the subject to the structure. So what is ideology then? The critical impetus of critical discourse analysis and other critical resource programs is somewhat the legacy of enlightenment. Enlightenment means it has to bring some changes, enlighten the human being, people's life in the community. And then, yes, critique regularly, or criticality regularly aims at revealing the structure of power in the society and unmasking the ideologies there. Ideology is neither to be understood as a positive nor as the Marxian type of ideology according to the economic base or superstructures dichotomy. So that is of interest of CDA. So there are some characteristics of ideologies. Political scientists, they have given their four central characteristics of ideologies. Their power is more important than cognitions, and they are capable of guiding individuals' evaluations. They provide guidance through action. They must be logically coherent as well. So it is taken from Mullins, 1972. And what is power then? Power is the main concept of CDA, as it analyzes the language use of those in power who are responsible for the existence of inequalities. Those in power, they always produce inequalities in the society, and that can be reflected through language. So researchers are interested in the way discourse produces or reproduces social domination, that is the power abuse of one group over others, and how dominated groups may discursively resist such abuse. That has to be analyzed in critical discourse analysis. There is almost no sociological or socio-psychological theory which does not provide the distinctive notion of power. So every social theories or psychological theories, they revolve around the power. This is the central concept. So there are some approaches to power. For example, power as a result of specific resources of individual actors, or power as a specific attribute of social actions in each interaction, power as a systematic and constitutive element or characteristics of society. So these three approaches. And when we say power, Foucault always comes at the center, because Foucault is one of the theoretical godfathers of critical discourse analysis. He says that power plays everywhere. Power is central for understanding the dynamics and specifics of controls of action in modern societies. But power remains mostly invisible. We cannot see. That can be reflected in discourse, in talk, in actions, and that has to be studied. So there are some agendas and challenges of critical discourse analysis. So I will talk here mainly 6 types of agendas. So they are analyzing, understanding, and explaining the impact of the knowledge-based economy. The agenda of critical discourse analysis is the impact of knowledge-based economy on various domains of our society. How? So right now we can see the knowledge-based economy and how it has impacted. So it's and how its impact has influenced the people's life, how it is reflected in language. So that has to be studied. And then similarly, cognitive sciences into CDA, that is another agenda. Similarly, new phenomena in our political systems, like depoliticalizing or politicalizations or participations. Another agenda can be the impact of new media and new genres. How new media nowadays are influencing people's life, and how the influence is reflected in the discourse, in the text. Similarly, the relationship between complex historical processes, hegemonic narratives, and CD approaches, they are another, this is another agenda of critical discourse analysis. Similarly, avoiding cherry picking, that is, choosing the examples which best fit the assumptions by integrating quantitative and qualitative methods and providing a reproducible self-reflective questions of, let's say, presentations of past or current research processes. So this is another research agenda. So let me go to the multimodality and new genres, one of the most important agenda of critical discourse analysis. So critical discourse analysis covers semiotic devices, media studies, and non-verbal aspects of text. Kresh and Lewins, they have produced, they have developed one framework for considering the communicative potential of visual devices in media. And that is covered by multimodality of discourse analysis. It focuses on the semiotics of handwriting and typography and the questions of color. So similarly, let me also focuses the multimedia semiotics, multiple time scales and hypertext or traversals. Moreover, let me also investigate combination of language, visual media, and dynamics or interactive effects. So this is what we call multimodality. And political discourse is another area of or agenda of critical discourse analysis. It was introduced after the Second World War to investigate of national socialist language, and it is used to understand the importance of language and communication to totalitarian regimes and their propaganda. Utzmas was the first linguist to subject the everyday linguistic practice of National Socialism to an in-depth analysis. His historical argumentation analysis based on the theories of Michel Foucault that demonstrates how discourse is determined by society. And discourse is basically understood as the result of collusion. The conditions of the political, social, and linguistic practice impose themselves. Theory, let's come to the theory now. Concerning its theoretical background, critical discourse analysis works eclectically in many aspects. There is no accepted canon of data collection, but many CDA approaches work with existing data together. That is text not specifically produced for the respective research projects. So critical discourse analysis ranges from grand theories, middle theories, micro social theories, social psychological theories, discourse theories to linguistic theories. It has broad ranges. There are some approaches to critical discourse analysis. They are critical discourse historical approach, corpus linguistic approach, social actors approach, dispositive analysis, socio-cognitive approach, and dialectical relational approach. So they can be shown here in summary. So this is the figure I have just taken from or adapted from Odak and Mayer 2009, and you can just see over here the theories, the approaches downwards. You can find dialectical relational approaches, socio-cognitive approach, dispositive analysis. They are deductive general perspectives. And similarly, inductive detailed case studies are their discourse historical approach, corpus linguistics, social actors approach. They are interlinked with the many themes and personas like Michel Foucault, dispositive theories, and then dialectical relational approach is related to the Michel Foucault, and similarly the critical theory, Marx, Moscovici, symbolic interaction, and McHalliday. So this is how they are connected. These approaches, they work combinedly together, multifacetiously. So methodology, let's come to the methodology part of critical discourse analysis. Systematizing different theoretical influences is one of the methodologies. So we need to, while applying critical discourse analysis in our research, we need to systematize different theoretical influences. Okay, then operationalization of the theory. The theories should be operationalized in our practice, in our action. Sampling, that can be typical text, can be live or discourses. They can be through theoretical sampling and gathering data, analyzing data. So there are mainly 6 steps of analyzing data. There are semantic and macro structures. We need to focus on that. So language meanings, local meanings, subtle formal structures, global and local discourse forms, specific linguistic realizations and analysis of the context. So while analyzing discourse, we need to follow these steps. The model for theoretical and methodological research procedures, which is illustrated in the next figure. We can see the figure over here that begins from theory, conceptualization, the selection of theoretical concepts and relations or assumptions. First we do it, and we go to the operationalization and produce procedures and instrumentations and discourse, text. Let's say we come to the discourse and text, and then selection of the information, what information we want to interpret, and interpretations, examination of assumption. This is how in circular process we carry out critical discourse research. Okay, so thank you so much for watching me. I hope you understood the presentation.